Hey guys, so I have this awning over the door to my house and it's a little saggy, and it's saggy because the supports are broken. What I need to try to do today is make a wooden support that I can jam under there when it snows, because what happens is the snow collects on top and it kind of squishes it, and eventually it's going to break it off the house. You know, a better solution would be to tear it down entirely and build a real roof and a real porch here, but that's not going to happen today. So you can see what happened. There's a support here that's missing, and the weight of the snow caused where the support is attached to break. Same thing happened on the other side. The support goes over and it just tore right out. And because this is all thin aluminum, there really isn't much I can do to reinforce it. So what I'm gonna do is just make a wooden support that goes right here. This will sort of rest on it and it will just stand right on the deck. And I'll just put it out when it's gonna snow and put it away when it's done. All right, so the first step is to get a little scrap of 2x4 I can use as the contact point right over here. All right, I messed up the first piece of wood, so let's try this again. I'm gonna cut a notch in the top of this so it fits right into that metal bracket. And I'm gonna try to cut it deep enough that this piece fits snug up against the sheet metal. All right, I got the cut lines marked up again. So I'm gonna go cut that on the table saw and hopefully it'll be a nice snug fit. This piece of wood looks different because this was the first draft that I messed up when I cut it. What I need to cut is a little notch here and then also an angle across the top. So I'm gonna cut the notch first because the notch is perpendicular with the wood. So I can just lay it flat, cut the notch, then cut the angle part afterwards. It'll just make the cutting easier. So to do that cut, I'm gonna take this blade, the regular blade, off my table saw, and I'm gonna put on the Dado blade. So every table saw is different. On this one, you just pick up this cover here. There's a little lever that you pull up, which is the brake. Then you just use a wrench. In this case, it's a 15/16. So while I'm unscrewing this, let me remind you that you always want your table saw to be unplugged when you're sticking your hand anywhere near it. Table saws like to eat fingers for breakfast. They won't hesitate. You won't even feel it happening, and you'll just be missing a finger. I don't know this firsthand, and I hope I never know it firsthand. It's the Dado set. And what a Dado set is, it's just a series of spacers, saw blades, and I don't know what the right word is for these, but basically this lets you do really wide cuts, like 1/2 inch wide, 3/4 inch wide. That is what I'm going to try to set up here. Okay, I've never done this before, so I'm going to use the rod as an axle just to sort of make it a little easier for me to get the width just right. And then I'll take it all off and put it on the saw itself. So the notch I need is going to be, let's call it 3/4. So 3/4 of an inch. All right, so one blade, one shim. Another shim, another blade. All right, here we go. All right, so all these combined just at 3/4. So now we just need to take these, take them off this axle and get them onto the motor. There we go. And we'll shim. So there's specific details on how you have to line these up that I'm not bothering to talk about. If you're going to use a Dado blade set on your table saw, read the instructions. Don't go by this video. Because like I said, I don't know what I'm doing. But it'll be fine. So we hit the brake. Okay, now we gotta line up the blade. So first we'll line up the heights, which actually looks pretty good already. It's good. Now we gotta line up the lateral positioning. All right, that looks good. This is not an ideal way to use a table saw. My hands are getting way too close to the blade for comfort. Unfortunately, sometimes cutting smaller pieces of wood with a table saw can leave you in these weird positions where you have to get a little closer than you'd like. Also, I couldn't fit the cover around the blade because it's made for a regular blade, not an extra wide dado blade set. So I had to go without a cover, which also wasn't smart, but I really had to get this piece cut. I might make a new blade cover out of plywood that fits in that slot and is wide enough for the dado blade, so I don't have to get quite this sketchy again in the future. All right, here we go, test fit. That fits in pretty nice. Now I just need to cut the top of it at an angle so it fits snug, because right now it fits like this, but I want it to be snug while it's vertical, like it is right now. Let's go make that cut. All right, the table saw is unplugged, so now I need to take this blade back off and put the standard blade back on. All right, this is the first time I've used this blade set and it worked pretty good. And that was just a rough cut of some old kind of semi-rotten 2x4. So I'll definitely be using this again. I got this at that cheap tool store that you know the name of. And it's certainly good enough for occasional use. I don't know if I would use this every day if I were a carpenter, but I'm not. All right, now I'm just gonna put the original parts back on. All right, I've got the blade, the regular thin blade, lined up to cut the angled cut on the top of the piece of wood, what will be the top, which is this side. So now let's make that cut. All right, test fit time. That fits really good. There's gonna be hundreds of pounds of snow on this during certain snowstorms, and this will keep the roof from caving in. All right, right, now I need to measure the height and find a scrap of 2x4 that's tall enough to go all the way from the deck to the top of the roof. All right, I measured it up and I need a piece of 2x4 that's just a little bit longer than 84 inches. And I think this one might be long enough. It's difficult to do one-handed. All right, it's 96 inches long. That's 96 inches, there we go. So let's take this piece outside and cut it down to just about 84. While I'm at it, I'll give this scrap of plywood a clean cut on the curved edge, and this will be the base plate for this support. The height is good. That's what it's not assembled, but this is what it will look like once I screw it together. So I just need to make some brackets up here to hold this piece to that piece. Then I'm going to screw the bottom piece straight in, and then it can snow and I don't have to worry about the roof caving in. All right, so I've got these plywood scraps. I'm going to put them on like this, one on that side like that, and then the other side like that. I'm going to pre-drill all the holes, and then I'm going to use these leg bolts, leg screws. I'm going to pre-drill because I don't want this to split, because this was a pain to cut. This is the piece with the slot in it. So I'm going to carefully pre-drill everything through both of these, do the same thing on the other side, bolt it all together, and then move on to the bottom. All right, line this one up. I'm going to put one there. Yeah, I'll just use this hole that's already there. I'll put one right here. These are not the same size. It's sunk right in. All right, now I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side. This one I'm going to do horizontally for no particular reason. So I'm going to drill here, here, and then right here. So what's happening is, because I did not use washers, because this is just kind of a temporary hack sort of fix, the heads of these bolts are actually sinking into the wood. If this were permanent, that would be bad, but because it's all temporary, it's good enough. Okay, now I'm going to put the foot on. Just trace roughly where that's going. So I'm going to use an impact driver and some construction screws to install this, because it's so much easier doing it any other way. All right, perfect. Here we go. Fits in there nice and snug. Doesn't look pretty, but it's a great temporary solution to keep the snow from caving in the roof. Oh, it looks really ugly, but it's very functional. I'm only going to put it out when there's snow coming, and then I'm going to put it away until the next storm. And eventually this is all going to be rebuilt with a real roof that can handle snow without having to go through these ridiculous hoops. So what happens is the wind comes off the roof and actually creates a snowdrift. So it's not just the snow that falls, you get a huge amount of snow up top of this roof. So this should make it safe for a while. All right, all done for now. See you later. But wait, there's more. Here's some bonus footage of me cutting the first piece of wood that I ended up not using because I cut it too short.